work husband turned affair partner, maybe? Boyfriend, the girlfriend, mom, aunt, twin size bed, tiny cramped room. What could go wrong? You know, it would have been cute. It could have been cute if they were single, but they're not. All right, guys, imagine with me this. You're at the beginning of a relationship. You're getting to know the other person. All the little things don't matter because you're just focused and zoned in on your person. You're wearing rose-colored glasses. Things that might have irritated you before? No, they're nothing now. But I think at the same time that you have rose-colored glasses in relationships, sometimes you also tend to give out passes. Now, I think passes are the opposite, right? It's not that you're ignoring things that might have irritated you. It's more so you're letting things slide. Some things just fly off the radar. You're like, you know what? This is not that big of a deal. I can overlook this. This is fine. Everything's great. It's not big enough to bring up. Now, today's theme of the episode is, do they deserve a pass? Because OP is trying to figure out in these stories, is what they're doing okay? Or if it's big enough to be considered a big blowout of a situation. I'm V, and you're tuning in to Honey Hearts. Let's get into the stories. First story is from the subreddit AITAH. Am I the a-hole for wanting to use the hall pass my wife gave me 5 years ago when she cheated on me? Do you guys like that? The theme is, do they get a pass? And the OP in our first story is, he's getting a hall pass. Get it? Get it?
Boo.
I thought it was good. So OP says, my wife, 35-year-old female, and I, 35-year-old male, have been married for 10 years. We have 2 children, 9-year-old female, 7-year-old male. 5 years ago, I found out that my wife had an affair. I felt crushed and numb because I love my wife a lot. Her affair partner told me about it when my wife called it off. The affair lasted 1 month, and my wife had called it off because she felt really guilty about it. When I confronted my wife about it, she was very remorseful and didn't deny anything. She said she'd do anything, follow my reconciliation steps, I asked, and just begged to not break up our family. I asked her why she cheated, and she gave no excuses. And she just said it was for the thrill. I'm already set to be against a wife. She's the cheating partner, but then also she's not even the one that came close to giving up the truth about it. She only fessed up because she got caught. I feel so bad for OP already. I can kind of guess where the story's going with the whole hall pass thing. Okay, OP continues. My first reaction was to divorce. After sitting on it for a week, I decided to just stick it out for our family and because I still love my wife. My wife was very thankful and she even told me I had a hall pass I could use whenever I wanted. Over the next year or so, my wife followed the reconciliation steps, which included therapy, getting sober, quitting her job, and a bunch of other things. I've forgiven my wife, but I could never forget it. I would occasionally just replay in my mind my wife cheating on me, and that always hurt a lot. Oh, so it sounds like Opie kind of slipped in that detail, but getting sober, quitting her job, was the affair partner someone from work husband turned affair partner, maybe? And then also the getting sober aspect, maybe she was also struggling with some sort of addiction in the process. OP continues, fast forward to today and my family's doing great. However, I have OP, I'm going to pick on your grammar here. I have struck a friendship. I've struck OP. OP says, fast forward to today and my family's doing great. However, I've struck a friendship. I'm rolling my eyes a little bit with the friendship. I've struck a friendship with Melissa, 32-year-old female who I met at a bookstore. We had common interest in books for existentialism, metaphysics, and similar books. Oh, just casual things that anyone just walks into a bookstore for. Give me the section for your metaphysics books. He says, I don't know how, but when we met, we just clicked. We initially met every week at the bookstore to just discuss books and life, but we started talking more about our personal life, and we then started going on coffee dates and brunches. One more thing we had in common was that Melissa, too, was married to her husband who had cheated on her many years ago. Am I wrong for calling this a meet cute story? Yes, I know. This is cheating. I consider this cheating. Let's talk about the elephant in the room first. He's meeting with her regularly every single week at a planned place. So you have a planned time and place where you talk about topics, you talk about life, books. He calls it coffee dates. You're getting brunches now together. I feel like brunch, depending on what meal you're eating with your friend or your family, whoever, it means something. Like brunch is reserved for the girls, family, close friends, your partner. You don't just casually get brunch with just any stranger you bump into the bookstore, you know? I'm counting that as cheating. They have regular meetups. But if we overlook past the regular meetups and the whole discussions, it's kind of cute. They bumped into each other at the bookstore and they love the same metaphysics books and stuff. Like, I'm just imagining if this had been two single people bumping into each other, they would have reached for the same book, looked into each other's eyes, and be like, oh, sorry, I also wanted that book. You know, it would have been cute. It could have been cute if they were single, but they're not. So, dose of reality. OP continues, it's been almost a year since I met her, and Melissa has made it upfront that she has very strong feelings for me and that she's never had these feelings for anyone else ever in her life. I too have a lot of feelings for her, but I feel guilty about it, so I haven't told her about them yet. I haven't crossed any physical boundaries, and I don't intend to. We only hug and hold hands.
What? I mean, is the wife aware of these meetups?
I don't think so. If OP is not fessing up about his real feelings yet and he's feeling guilty, I feel like if you had said something, if he said something to the wife, why would he feel guilty? It's all out in the open anyway. He hasn't said it to his wife. And also, I don't think you can say that he hasn't crossed any physical boundaries if you're out here hugging and holding hands. And where are you doing this? At the bookstore? On your brunch dates? You're going on dates already. Let's just call it what it is. It's not fair. He continues, but I do want to explore more of the emotional connection to her because I've never felt like this ever. Even to your wife? He says, I remember that my wife gave me a hall pass 5 years ago when she cheated on me. Would I be the a-hole to use that hall pass to explore the emotional connection I have with Melissa? Yes, I did say her name like that, guys, because I'm kind of rolling my eyes at Melissa. She's also at fault. I was going to say she's not at fault because OP's more at fault. But if we're playing that game, already I'm going to say OP, absolute a-hole. Because even though he has that hall pass, I think it's different if he had told his wife, hey, wife, can I activate the hall pass now? If that's their mutual agreement and wife is down for it, fine. You go for it. You do you, I guess. Do that thing with Melissa. But the fact that he's already actively pursuing the affair, at this point, he just needs a huge sign that says, go for it, green light. Wife says yes. He just needs to go ahead or the nod of approval to eliminate any guilty feelings he has. Because the fact that he's talking so much about Melissa and about how I've never felt this way ever, really? As you're married with 2 kids, you've never felt this way ever. In the story, OP is wondering whether he should explore that emotional connection with Melissa. But I'd like to ask you guys to explore the connection between you and me by smashing that like button and hitting subscribe. Thanks, guys. Now, I know context of the story is, wife also cheated on him, but I don't think 2 wrongs make a right. Does that sound right? I think if he had brought up to the wife said yes, cool. He wouldn't be the a-hole. But he's already an a-hole because he's basically already pursuing this hugely emotional and somewhat already physical affair with Melissa without letting his partner know. So yes, you are the a-hole. The fact that he brings up that, oh, but look how much we relate. We love books and also we're both married to people who cheat on us. I'm kind of rolling my eyes at your connection points. Okay, you and most of the population probably loves books, right? I think it's just justification for him to feel better about pursuing this whole thing with Melissa, bringing that whole emotional affair up. Because, oh, okay, Melissa shared her feelings for you, but then, okay, then what? I feel bad for Melissa's partner because Melissa's partner doesn't know. Unless their relationship is just like that, then that's different. Okay, let's see what some of the comments are saying. First comment, the fact that Melissa is cheating on her husband doesn't make her better than your wife. In a way, isn't it contradictory and kind of ironic that OP wants to have an affair with someone else's wife who is also having an affair on their husband who also had an affair. It's like a whole, this is not a circle. It's like a whole hexagon of affairs. Another comment. Dude, you may not be having a physical affair in your eyes with Melissa, but you're already cheating on your wife by an emotional affair, which is what I said. I think you're cheating, holding hands and hugging her because you aren't doing that as friends, but intimate contact. It's obvious you haven't forgiven your wife at this point. Kindest thing is to divorce and let you both live your lives. I agree. I think at this point, the love is lost. OP clearly also isn't over the whole cheating thing. My gut is telling me that a part of this might also be kind of retaliatory in a sense that, oh, my wife cheated before, I have this hall pass, so it justifies what I'm doing right now with Melissa. That's what it feels like. Another comment came here to say this. He's already used his hall pass because he's already having an affair. There's still a lot of resentment to his wife if he's willing to do this. If there were actual forgiveness, his current actions would not be happening. Oh, Pete, just divorce your wife. You're already cheating. Tell her you never got past what she did. And be honest with your kids and say that you never got past what your wife did in cheating. Now, here's the thing. If you divorce, then immediately hop into a relationship with this new girl, your family will rightly think you cheated. True. I think it's very messy. I agree with a lot of the comments though. At this point, I know it's early, guys, but drop the divorce, drop the D. Now, there is an update on the story. I'm hoping the update is something positive, but I don't know exactly how you can spin this positively. Unless the wife is just completely okay with it, I guess, and then everyone just marches off into the sunset with their new affair partners. I don't know. Update. Thank you everyone for the advice. I've decided not to use the hall pass as I don't really feel too great about it and it wouldn't be fair to my wife. I want to clarify what I meant by using the hall pass. I had no intentions of proceeding with any sexual activity, but instead deepening my emotional connection with Melissa and may have at worst included kissing. She tried to kiss me once, but I rejected it because I felt guilty about it. I'm confused. I feel like OP's answering, no, actually not answering. I feel like he's sidestepping what all the comments were saying. Most of the comments were saying, yeah, you're the a-hole, not for using the hall pass, but for already pursuing the emotional affair. And most of them just gave him advice on divorcing, but he's totally sidestepping and saying, guys, good news. I'm not going to be using the hall pass. I mean, I might have done some kissing, but that's it. That's the worst thing. So it's fine. He's not going to divorce. I didn't even finish the update yet. He's not going to divorce. OP continues. I texted Melissa and let her know, and while she was disappointed, she asked if we could still remain friends like we are now, and I told her sure, and she was very happy about it. I do like hanging out with Melissa a lot and talking about life. I also get that flutters and excited energy, and I like that a lot. I'm beginning to think that OP doesn't actually want advice, and he just wants the okay from the internet to say, yes, continue this friendship with Melissa. Be honest. What normal friendship do you have that involves, oh, maybe there's like intention to kiss sometime, but it's fine. I don't actually go through with it. And such a deepening of emotional connection. And you're meeting regularly at the bookstore. So does that mean he's still having those weekly dates and brunches? The comments tore him a new one. So, in response to him saying he had no intentions of proceeding with any sexual activity, but instead deepening that emotional connection with Melissa, comment says, dog, that's not a hall pass. That's you basically starting a relationship separate from your wife. I agree. I'm confused though. So, it sounds like he's just going to continue the affair, but not call it an affair and remain married to his wife. Right? Are you guys picking up the same vibes I'm getting? Another comment. You can't remain, quote, friends like you are now. Wow. Okay, I'm not the only one picking up the weird vibes. Someone says you have two and only two choices here that have integrity. One, both you and Melissa get divorced and then be together. I agree. If you want to go the I don't want to say correct route, but the route with any sense of normal respect and integrity, yes. Or two, cut all ties with Melissa forever. Anything else, and you're going to hurt yourself and everyone you care about. You know what? I feel bad for the kids. I wonder how this is going to play out with his kids because they're both young enough that I think they can kind of sense if something's off with mom and dad, but not old enough to actually be able to explain to them, okay, so this is the new family dynamic. Dad has brunch dates with Melissa every week, and that's why he's not here. And mom had this whole cheating thing with the hall pass. I foresee it being a very messy conversation between OP and the kids in the future. In this case, I don't think OP gets a pass for what he did. Now, our next story, we're bringing the family or more extended family involved. Let's see if they get a pass. Next story is from the subreddit, Am I the A-hole? Am I the a-hole for not saying goodbye to my mom and aunt after they slept in my college dorm? I, 20-year-old female, am a junior at a university that is a 5-hour drive from my hometown. Yesterday, my mom, 51-year-old female, and aunt, 51-year-old female. Wait, I just noticed. OP, is your mom and aunt, are your mom and aunt twins? They're both 51 years old. I guess they are. So OP says, yesterday, my mom, 51-year-old female, aunt, 51-year-old female, boyfriend, 21-year-old male, and I made the drive to move me into my dorm. In preparation for my move-in day, my mom and aunt booked a one-night stay in a local hotel to avoid driving 5 hours back home after a long day. While they slept there, my boyfriend and I spent the night in my dorm. The plan for the next day was to meet around 11 a.m., do some last-minute shopping, say our goodbyes, and the three of them would drive back to my hometown. However, things turned out very differently. Instead of meeting at 11, we met at 2 p.m. due to my mom and aunt insisting that they needed a few more hours to sleep. The wait obviously delayed the day, but when my mom and aunt met up with us, we still went on with our plan. We didn't finish shopping till around 6 p.m., and as sunset was approaching, my aunt announced that she didn't feel comfortable making the 5-hour drive back in the darkness of the night, and they would have to stay another night. Not wanting to pay for another night at the hotel and without consulting me first, my mom and aunt both casually said that they would just spend the night in my dorm and sleep on the floor. I think as a planner, this bugs me a little bit. So they had a plan. They moved OP into her dorm. And then I guess boyfriend, aunt, mom, and OP were supposed to go do a little shopping. And then they head back, they say their goodbyes, and that's it the next day. But mom and aunt oversleeping or wanting to sleep more, I guess, moved their whole schedule from 11 to 2. So that's like 3 hours. But then which I'm fine with, get your beauty sleep in. That's fine. They did a lot of driving the day before. Fine. But knowing that they didn't finish shopping till around 6, you're telling me the mom and aunt, who are both older women, didn't look their clocks or watches or whatever and say, oh, shoot, we have to leave soon. So let's end shopping early so we can drive back home. No, that was never an option. Look, I'm okay with it if they worried about their own sleeping accommodations, but they're just basically impromptuing, hey guys, let's just all have a sleepover. And how's this gonna work? So one dorm room, I'm thinking the average college dorm room is usually pretty small. And it's like the shared living space, but you have your own bedroom. So usually the bed is what, like a twin size too? So is boyfriend and OP gonna sleep in the same room as mom and aunt in a cramped little dorm room? What is the thinking here? Like, I doubt they have extra sleeping bags for the floor or anything like that, too. OP continues, the thought of having two middle-aged women spend the night in a cramped dorm room with my boyfriend and I in a building full of rowdy college kids horrified me. While shopping earlier in the day, my mom had unexpectedly paid for all my stuff, saving me $400. To avoid those strange sleeping arrangements, I offered to pay for them to stay another night at a hotel with the money that I had expected to spend but didn't. Oh, I mean, I forgot about the whole fact that it's probably gonna be noisy and you have all these other college kids in the area and the space. So I think this is a good compromise. I think it's a good offer. Like, mom paid for all the stuff. So as a thank you, let me pay for your stay. And now you can get comfortable in your own space with auntie. And me and my boyfriend will have the dorm room. What's the problem with this arrangement? OP continues, my mom and aunt said that a hotel would be a waste of money and got really offended that I didn't want them to stay in my room. When I listed all the reasons why I thought it was inappropriate, they dismissed them. After turning down my offers to book them a room, my mom and aunt said that if I was kicking them out of my dorm, they would just sleep in the car. Mom and auntie are annoying me. So their poor planning resulted in poor accommodation plans. And their big idea was, let's just all stay together, one bed. This sounds like a horrible disaster. Boyfriend, OP, the girlfriend, mom, aunt, twin size bed, tiny cramped room. What could go wrong? And also, it makes me wonder, were they just gonna sleep in their clothes, outdoor clothes as is? And who gets the bed? Is this gonna be a rock, paper, scissors situation where they're gonna kind of play a game or flip a coin for the bed? This is so awkward. I don't think I would be comfortable sleeping and sharing a room with my fiance and my parents, much less my parents and my aunt. That's just weird. Like, not that I think that anything weird would, well, anything, crazy or spicy would be going on between OP and boyfriend. It's just awkward. You want to relax when you're tired after a full day. You don't want to necessarily share it with strangers, which, no offense to OP, not that her mom and auntie are strangers, but to the boyfriend, they kind of are, right? And I don't like the emotional blackmail. See, when I say that people around you get a pass for things, this is not that. This is not that situation. This is blackmail. The whole no, 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 don't waste your money with a hotel and phrasing it as OP kicking the mom and aunt out of the room. You were never invited, so how can she kick you out of a room you were never invited to? I don't like the blackmail. The whole, "Oh, I'll just go sleep in the car." Yes. You know what? Fine. Let them sleep in the car. They'll be fine. It's a college campus. Relatively should be safe, I think. She continues, nighttime came, and I felt guilty that my mom and aunt were sleeping in the car. Don't do it, Opie. Don't do it. I eventually told them to come and sleep on the floor. Things got frustrating when they suggested that my boyfriend sleep on the floor while my mom slept in the bed. Wait, you know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of the whole, what is that? There's a popular riddle, right? Where if you cross a river and you have a fox, a chicken, and an egg, I think. I might be wrong. You guys will have to correct me if this is wrong. And you need to bring them over to the other side of the river. But the question is, what order do you arrange it with, right? Do you put the fox there and then leave the chicken and the egg? But then when you bring the chicken over, then you have the chicken and the fox? Or do you leave the egg with the fox, but then the fox will eat the egg or the chicken? I'm totally not remembering the correct order for this whole chicken, fox, egg scenario. But this kind of reminds me of that. If their suggestion is, boyfriend, you sleep on the floor, I'm assuming the bed fits at max 2, unless you got a giant bed. If mom takes the bed, where does aunt sleep? Is the auntie on the floor with the boyfriend and OP is in the bed with her mom? But then you also can't put, I guess you only have 2 real options here. Boyfriend and OP go on the floor of her own dorm room. Yes, she takes the floor. Mom and aunt get in the bed. Or mom and aunt go on the floor and boyfriend and OP go on the bed. Right? That's only 2 scenarios here. Let's see. OP says, my RA would question why I was sleeping in the lounge, and I couldn't say it was because my mom and aunt were sleeping there because they weren't allowed as overnight guests. So for those of you that might not know, RA, I'm pretty sure stands for resident advisor. It's usually someone who's also a student, probably an older student, who is also living on the same floor, and they just pretty much are the go-to if anything happens on the floor. What's weird to me too is that this is against policy. So they just moved in and mom and aunt are already encouraging OP to break the rules to let them sleep in. I don't think they're a good influence either. She says, my mom and aunt's entitlement began to enrage me, and I fully started to ignore the requests, as you should. I left the room, which led to my mom shouting at me down the hall at 2 in the morning. My boyfriend and I slept in the car. I shouldn't be laughing. It's pretty tragic. I'm pretty sad for OP. But all this drama, and it turns out that I guess I didn't consider that scenario. Boyfriend and OP will sleep in the car, and his mom and aunt get the dorm room. How is this different from them just getting a hotel room at this point? Why didn't they just go to the freaking hotel so the OP and boyfriend can at least sleep in a bed? I'm so confused. She says, the 3 of them left this morning, and I didn't say a word to my mom and aunt. Am I the a-hole? No! They essentially kicked you out of your own dorm room. I mean, it's nice that they bought you all the stuff and helped you move in, but that doesn't justify changing the plans, delaying the plans, resulting in all this uncomfortable awkwardness. And I feel kind of bad for OP because it was probably embarrassing too. You're moved in, you're getting to know your college dorm mates. It's exciting time. It's college, the start of college. And you're dealing with your mom yelling at you at 2 a.m. to come back to the room. And what is she yelling? Come back to the room this instant and sleep with me and your aunt and your boyfriend in the dorm room. Like, this is so awkward. Is it possible to die from, what is this, hand cringe? Third hand cringe? Because this is like, I'm like 3 times removed from the situation. Let's see what the comments say. Not the a-hole. Your mom and aunt's behavior was inconsiderate and intrusive. It's understandable that you felt uncomfortable with them staying in your dorm, especially without prior discussion. You even offered to pay for a hotel, which was a reasonable and generous solution. I agree. So how many combos were there? I cannot believe that of all the options that happened. So I guess mom and aunt just really wanted the bed. They did not plan ahead and they just assumed that OP would just give up her bed and her boyfriend could just go somewhere and they would just take over the room. Like, I guess the question is, do you guys think it was worth it for OP? Had they taken the room, pay $400, so you're out $400, but you don't have to deal with a mom and aunt screaming at you at 2 a.m. in the morning, trying to sleep in the same room with you and your boyfriend. Is $400 worth that, guys? Like, that's the only silver lining I see, is that at least OP saved $400.
Why $400?
Because OP was willing to, because the mom paid for all of OP's stuff, which was $400. And she's like, oh, let me use that money to buy you a hotel room since
Yeah,
you didn't
but
have to spend it.
wouldn't the hotel be less than 400?
Oh, you're right. It's not a bougie hotel. Oh no. So OP would have spent like more like, I don't know, 150, 200 max for a nice room for them. I don't understand how they could be comfortable staying in the room like this either. Knowing that they kind of booted their daughter out of her room. Another comment. I'm 60-year-old female and had 2 kids that went to college. It's strange and illegal that they wanted to sleep in your room. I don't know why they needed to sleep until 2 p.m. It would have made more sense to sleep until 11 a.m., take you shopping, then drive home and sleep there. You're not the a-hole. Yeah, I agree. Like, I'm fine with them sleeping in, not to nitpick on them sleeping until 2 p.m., but so irresponsible. Would you guys ever share a room with your family members and your partner? Like, I think it's one thing, it was just OP, mom, and aunt. But when you have boyfriend in the mix, that's weirder. Oh, you know what? Boyfriend, mom, and aunt drove together. So they all came together to campus. So I'm wondering, the 3 of them left. So OP says the 3 of them left. How awkward is it for them to be in this, probably, I'm assuming, a few hours drive, and you have boyfriend sitting in a car with mom and aunt after all the arguments that happened the night before? Maybe the biggest victim here is, other than OP, the boyfriend that has to sit and probably hear the mom and aunt complaining about what happened last night. Another comment. Not that I take this as a lesson learned and not allow anything like that again. Don't give in to pressure if your mom pays for something without your knowledge. Don't feel any obligation if she then wants something from you. If you weren't given the chance to accept or say no, you don't owe her anything. So you don't have to accept any strings that she tries to attach, and you shouldn't attach them yourself out of misplaced guilt. You can't be grateful for receiving help while still enforcing reasonable boundaries, such as not letting them sleep at your dorm, which they really weren't even allowed to do, on top of the trouble and discomfort it caused. If you want to return any favors, you can judge how to do so yourself, keeping it within limits of what you judge to be fair and reasonable, while rebuffing any guilt trips or attempts at manipulation. Also, if your mother and aunt are bullying and shouting, you don't have to play nice. Say thank you, smile, and wave goodbye as if everything was normal. I agree. I mean, I know it's awkward to try and get your mom and aunt kicked out from the dorm room, but that was also an option. So we have some responses from OP. Let's see. Comment, not the whole, that is really weird. Maybe something happened at the hotel and they literally couldn't stay there another night. It sounds like they may be the kind of people to push the limits of acceptable behavior. OP responded, I searched for multiple hotels in the area and gave them 6 to choose from. That's even worse. The more I learn about the mom and the aunt, the worse it looks for them. The fact that, okay, I can see one justifiable situation in which, yeah, I can see why they might have insisted on staying in the dorm room, is if OP tried to shove them in a maybe like a bug infested, horrible, sketchy, dingy motel, then maybe that's why aunt and mom are just feeling some sort of way. But even then, they could have just drove home or booked a hotel themselves.
I think they just wanted to save money.
But it's not their money to save. Opie offered to pay.
I mean, I can see that argument, but I mean, I wouldn't have made that choice, but I think that's what they were thinking.
To
Let's just
save
save the money.
100 something or maybe 200. You know, all the arguing back and forth and the whole rearrangement of the sleeping situation multiple times probably cost them at least 3 hours of their time. Between the, oh no, now you're sleeping here. Now I'm sleeping there. Now I'm going to the car. So silly. In this case, I don't think mom and aunt got a pass for their behavior. Nope. They do not pass the vibe check. So I think you guys have been enjoying some of the wild picks of the episode. And if you guys are new here, wild picks are just stories that usually wouldn't catch my eye, or they catch my eye, but for a very silly or wild reason. So hence the name Wild Picks. Today's wild pick is from the subreddit, Am I Overreacting? Am I overreacting? Husband keeps feeding our baby soy sauce. I love that of all things, when I picture husband and babies and baby food, I don't know. I picture baby carrots, little like those little like Gerber bottles of baby food, but never soy sauce. OP says, I don't even know where to start. Last week, I found out that my husband, Mark, gave our baby Lucy a spoonful of soy sauce. Yep, soy sauce. And now it's like she's addicted to this stuff. I walked into the kitchen and there was Mark, looking all proud of himself as he spooned a little bit of soy sauce into Lucy's mouth. I asked him what he was doing, and he said she seemed curious about it, so I thought I'd let her try. It didn't seem that big of a deal at the time, so I let it go. The next day, I walked into the same thing. They were in the kitchen and he was giving her more soy sauce. I asked him what he thought he was doing, and again he said, it's not a big deal. He even laughed about it. I tried to stay calm, but inside I was fuming. So, some questions, and guys, maybe you have more experience with babies and can let me know. Are babies picky eaters, or do they just eat whatever?
I'm pretty sure that's not a thing.
That they eat whatever?
Yeah, you can't give them certain foods.
I mean, okay, well, that makes sense. So you can't give them certain foods. But do babies reject certain foods? Is it human instinct to reject certain foods automatically? Would a baby be like, no, or whatever their version of no is, and spit something out? Would they have that awareness?
I don't know, but I think salty stuff is
Not
something you
good for
should
them,
probably
probably.
avoid, right? Like that's,
Yeah.
I would assume it's not good for your kidneys or something like that.
My question of all things, why did the husband pick soy sauce? Like, I get it was like little smushed carrots, or smushed apples. Like, when I think of my nieces and nephews and I think of them, I think things that they've been fed are like smushed fruits and veggies. I've never seen anyone try and give them a whole spoonful too of soy sauce. And why a spoonful? See, if this was an adult, I would say you're a psycho. I'm sorry, because no normal person eats soy sauce by the spoonful. You usually sprinkle it with something. You add it on top of rice. It's supposed to be a condiment, an addition, a flavoring to something, not a main point of consumption. I don't know. Let's see if we'll find out a reason. She says, since then, it's been a nightmare. Lucy keeps pointing at the cupboard where we keep the soy sauce, and every meal is like a battle. He keeps giving her spoonfuls of soy sauce, and it's like she's developed this weird obsession. I'm just questioning what the dynamic is here in the household. Is it that every meal they're having dinner and then you just pan to husband? Husband's just like, Lucy, come here, little one. Yeah, and then shoves a whole spoonful of soy sauce. Also, if Lucy likes this soy sauce so much, I kind of want to ask OP to drop the brand name. I'm just curious. I mean, for myself, if this brand is so popular that this baby's becoming obsessed with it, I'm just saying it's a good ad for the soy sauce. She says, I tried talking to Mark about it and he just shrugs it off, saying it's no big deal. Can Mark stop saying no big deal? He said it like every day. Soy sauce, no big deal. She says, but it is a big deal. I'm worried about what this could do to her taste buds or her health. I mean, soy sauce is loaded with salt. I didn't want to sound like a total control freak, but I just couldn't hold it in anymore. So I snapped a bit yesterday. I told him it wasn't funny and that he needed to think about what he was doing. He looked hurt and said he was trying to bond with Lucy. Can't he just bond normally? I don't know. You see the TV shows. Dad is always trying to feed kids, making little airplane sounds or choo choo train sounds. And I think of that as bonding. Or you play with the baby. Why soy sauce? Is Mark also crazy about soy sauce and he thinks this is some weird bonding thing? You got a weird husband, OP. I'll just say it. He's slightly weird. Mark is weird. OP says, I get that, but it's driving me nuts. I'm exhausted from trying to manage the soy sauce craze, and it feels like he's not taking it seriously. Maybe I'm overreacting, but I just wish she'd understand how important it is to be careful with what Lucy eats. It's been a rough few days, and I really hope we can figure this out before our little girl becomes a soy sauce addict for life. I shouldn't laugh. It's a horrible situation. I'm so sorry, OP. I'm sorry that your husband is turning your baby into a soy sauce addict. Now, for life is debatable. Do babies retain their food preferences? I feel like they don't. So, okay, when I think of food preferences, guys, fun fact, I don't like chocolate. I've known since I was a little kid, since I could have awareness, I guess, that I don't like the taste of chocolate. I've tried it since becoming an adult. I still do not like it. So, if baby retains this love for soy sauce, maybe there is a chance she might actually become a soy sauce addict. And Mark couldn't pick something else, pick something healthy for her to be addicted to. I don't know. She could be a spinach addict or a kale addict, although I don't think babies could eat that either, depending on how old baby is. So Opie doesn't say how old her baby is, but she does provide a quick update on it. Edit, she is 14 months old. Oh, so she's like a little over a year. Yeah, I don't think a husband should be feeding her spoonfuls of soy sauce. I forget what OP's original question is. Okay. Original question is she overreacting? I don't think she's overreacting. Just because he's now giving her daily intakes of soy sauce, I would be concerned, like on a serious note, I would be concerned that all this salt, maybe OP should consult a doctor just to let him know what's up and see what the professional says. And if Mark won't take her seriously, one, I'm kind of worried about the nature of the relationship. If your husband's not respecting you enough to take you seriously when you've made it a point of concern time and time again. But maybe he'll trust a medical professional, maybe a doctor. Can you get a doctor to say, I mean, this is going to sound weird, but bring it to your doctor and say, hey, doctor, husband's been feeding my baby, my 14-month-year-old baby soy sauce every day. Is that bad for you? I feel like this is like something you probably ask Google, like, hey, Google, is eating daily intakes of soy sauce bad for you? And I feel like Google will tell you, yeah. Maybe he'll trust Google. Let's see what the comments say. First comment, make him go to our next doctor's appointment and ask the doctor right in front of him if it's okay to spoon feed the baby soy sauce on a daily basis. OP responds, this is a good idea. I'll try that. Maybe he'll listen to a doctor. In the meantime, I'll throw away the soy sauce. I usually do not support throwing things away, things that your partner likes away without telling them. But in this case, I'm not above a little bit of like a, oops, we're out of soy sauce. Oops, it's all out. I poured it all out. Or it's gone. Another comment, soy sauce is very high in sodium. Fine as a one-off thing, but when it's become the only way to get them to eat, probably time to dial it back. Ooh, you know what? That's a good point too, is if the baby is now reaching for soy sauce on her own and it's become some sort of trigger for her, like, oh, meal times means soy sauce time, means I don't want to eat anything else, that would be a problem. Another comment, that's too much sodium for a baby. She could get kidney damage. Take your husband to the pediatrician with you to have a discussion. Maybe he'll believe it if it comes from a doctor. Heck, maybe he should take a parenting class. I don't know if the parenting class would help, to be honest, because I feel like, not that I've ever been to a parenting class, but would they truly have a chapter that covers what to do when your husband is obsessed with soy sauce and is trying to get your baby equally obsessed? I don't know. I don't know if a parenting class will help you there, OP, but the doctor might. Yeah, I don't think you're overreacting. I support the tossing of the soy sauce and bring it to a doctor. This is such a bad situation, but I just find it so funny, guys. It's horrible. Now, I know our theme is giving your partners and families and friends a pass. So far, it doesn't look like anyone's gotten a pass or passed the vibe check. In this case, I'm sorry. Usually, husbands would get a pass for feeding their baby little things, right? Little things to try. But it's the spoonfuls of soy sauce for me. Sorry, husband. You too do not pass the or you do not pass the vibe check for passes. Does that make sense? No. I think no. Husband, no, you do not pass. That is not a pass for you to turn your baby into a soy sauce addict. All right. Here comes our last story, guys. I usually like to end it on a lighter note, but I'm warning you guys now. Get ready for the doom and gloom. Next story is from the subreddit AITH. Am I the a-hole for telling my ex-husband that I'm not interested in being boring for him anymore? I smell a redemption arc. OP says, I, 26-year-old female, married my ex-husband, Jake, 28-year-old male, when I was just 20. At the time, I was deeply in love with him and did everything I could to be the perfect wife. I cooked, cleaned, and always tried to be easygoing. Jake was my first serious relationship, so I thought keeping the peace and not being too demanding was the key to a happy marriage. About a year and a half into our marriage, Jake sat me down and told me he wanted a divorce because I was too boring, specifically in the bedroom. I feel like I guess there are no good ways to bring up divorce in a relationship or a breakup in this case, but being called too boring as the reason that your husband wants to divorce you, I feel like that's a stab in the gut right there. Or no, stab in the heart. Stab in the heart right there. And then to say specifically in the bedroom, that's like, oh, him twisting the knife.
I mean, did that come out of nowhere? Seems kind of strange to drop the divorce
That is
for
strange.
that reason, right? And not bring it up
That
prior.
is weird. Well, OP doesn't provide any details as to any other conversations before, but maybe we'll get more details. It does seem out of the blue to just sit your partner down a year and a half into the marriage and go, you're too boring. I want a divorce. So let's see. He says, oh, my bad. She says that he said, she says, he said he felt like our sex life was dull and that he wanted someone who was more adventurous and kinky. It broke my heart, but I agreed to the divorce and let him go without much of a fight, thinking maybe I just wasn't enough for him. We divorced just before my 22nd birthday. You know what? Hearing this part of the story, I feel like maybe it's the inexperience or the lack of initiative, maybe in communication in the relationship, because you're telling me OP seems like, oh, I just want to keep the peace. I'm easygoing. I'm not going to be too demanding. That can come off pretty badly to your partner, though. If he's the one that says, hey, can we try something else? And she's just going, oh, sure, I guess. Or no. And then there's no conversation. It just felt like there's definitely probably a big gap in communications between the two. So OP continues. Fast forward 3 years, I met someone new, Mark, 30-year-old male. Mark is the complete opposite of Jake. He encourages me to be myself, to express my opinions, and to take up as much space as I want, especially in the bedroom. Ooh. Okay, I see you, OP. Mark is a rigger, a kinkster who uses rope and other bondage equipment, and he introduced me to the BDSM community. With Mark, I feel liberated in ways I never did with Jake. We have a deep emotional and physical connection, and I've discovered a side of myself that I never knew existed. He makes me feel safe. He holds me before and after. We always talk about safety, and we've even done a few photo shoots together. They're posted on Mark's Twitter, which has a decent following. This escalates so fast. At the beginning, OP feels like this, picture perfect wife. She cooks, cleans, she says yes to everything. And then you flip 3 years into the future and she's with this new guy. They're doing BDSM. They're into the kinky stuff. Okay, OP. Okay. I'm happy that OP has found a new relationships, one that seems to fulfill her, and she has this very nice, deep emotional and physical connection. Good for her. I am surprised by the escalation, the leap, though. I always wonder, though, in this type of relationship where the woman or one of the partners just goes from plain Jane to kind of escalation of, I'm not gonna lie, with the BDSM, I'm thinking dominatrix queen, but for all we know, she's just a very, kinky queen now. Like the super confident lady. Was it maybe the relationship was the issue that maybe she and Jake just never found that spark and connection? And so she never opened herself up that way. And that with Mark, maybe she did. Is that it? It could also be time too, because she married Jake when she was in her early 20s, when she was just 20. And she's with, I guess, and at 23, that's when she met Mark. So it could just be, I guess, time also changes people. So I wonder if her preferences changed that way too. She continues, Mark proposed to me last month on our anniversary, and I'm so happy. I'm so proud to be with a person who loves me and cares deeply about what I want and need for myself, who cares fully about my consent. I'm a little bit concerned because OP has kind of hinted at this a few times about feeling safe in a relationship, about consent. Did she not get that in her previous relationship? Or I don't know, but it seems like there's been hints of it here and there in the story. Regardless, super, super happy for you, OP. Congrats on your proposal or engagement. She says a few weeks ago, Jake reached out wanting to meet up for coffee. I was hesitant, but agreed. During our meeting, Jake apologized for how things ended between us. He admitted that he regrets divorcing me and wants to give our relationship another shot. He even brought up how he heard through mutual friends that I'm different now, more confident, more adventurous, and said it hurt to know that Mark is getting the version of me that he always wanted. Um, I think this is too little, too late. It's done. You guys have been broken up for like at least what? Uh a year and a half into marriage. So it's been at least a few years. So she got married at 20. She's 26 now. They were married for a year and a half. So around 21, 22 is when wait, no, around 22 ish. And now she's 26. So it's been 4 years, buddy. I think it's just late, too late to rekindle any sort of relationship, especially when OP's now in a happy, committed relationship with someone else. I think it's kind of rude. No? Not just to your ex, but to your ex's partner to reach out and say, hey, I'm the old flame from the past. Let's rekindle our love. I don't like it. And how he's approaching this is, well, you're this new awesome person now. Where was this person in our relationship? I don't see any reason why this would even be practical. I don't know. I'm confused on why Jake is reaching out. OP says, I told Jake that I'm not the same person I was when we were married. I'm no longer interested in being boring for him or anyone else. I'm with someone now who loves and appreciates me for who I am, and I'm not willing to give that up to be Jake's second choice. Jake got angry and accused me of being selfish, saying that I'm throwing away what we had over some fling. He was especially mad that I've changed for someone else, claiming that I should have been like this with him from the start. He brought up seeing the photos at this point. He thinks I owe it to him to try again because of our history. I told him that I'm happy now and that he should have appreciated me when he had the chance. I agree, OP. They had the chance to work it out. Jake's the one that called for the divorce. He didn't open up a line of communication. He just went, you're boring me, divorce. And he dropped the D word. So, although I wonder how he came to see the photo. So, he must have been kind of secretly stalking OP's socials. Even to a point where, maybe people in their circle brought it up to him and they were like, oh, look at all these amazing photos that she's been in with her new boyfriend. I don't think Jake honestly cares about OP. I think he's just bringing this up because he wants something that he doesn't have. He wants the new version of her, the confident version of her that's only existing because he's not with her. He's saying that she's selfish. I think if you consider selfish, yes, I want to stay with my committed partner currently and not dump him to go to you, my ex, then yeah, I think she has all the reason to be. If anything, he's a selfish one for all of a sudden coming out of the woodwork and saying, hey, you owe it to me. You owe it to our past to rekindle this romance. He says, now some of his friends are telling me I was too harsh and that I should have been more understanding of Jake's feelings, given how much he regrets his decisions. Oh, boo-hoo. Just because someone feels bad doesn't mean all of a sudden that everyone needs to cater to their wishes. Jake's time is gone. He can regret it, but that's not for OP to then have to go back and baby him for his decisions. I think it's over. I'm hoping this doesn't end with OP saying, "Oh, you know what? I'll give him another shot after all." She says they think I should at least consider his offer since people can change. But I feel like I finally found someone who truly values me and I don't want to go back to being someone I'm not. Mark says he thinks Jake is a stupid, childish man baby and I should forget what he said to me. I feel bad for hurting his feelings, but not for standing by my choice not to talk to him. Does that make me an a hole? No, not at all, OP. I think your relationship's done. You're moving forward already. You know what this story reminds me of? It reminds me of, is it Kelly Clarkson song? Since You've Been Gone? It feels like that. Like the whole vibe that OP's giving off, it's almost like she's a new woman. She's a new hair. Oh, I don't know if she has new hair, but new hair, new me types of vibes. She's different. She's confident. She sounds more confident. In the beginning, it felt more like she was pursuing the idea of what a perfect wife was and maybe not necessarily what she wanted in a relationship. I think Jake bringing up divorce was probably a good thing in the long run for her because now she's opening up, she's exploring different things. Good for you, OP. And no, not the a-hole for sure. Although I would argue Jake kind of is for approaching someone who's in a committed relationship and trying to, I don't know, guilt her into dumping their partner and going back to him. It's very weird. First comment, some fling. How long have you been with Mark? I had difficulty figuring it out from the information you gave, but it looks as though you've been together for a year and a half, and he makes you feel everything you didn't when you were with Jake. Not the hole, blow Jake off and go have a wonderful life with Mark. P.S. Ignore Jake's interfering, gossipy friends. It's none of their business, and Jake should not have shared the information with them. It's really very intimate. Oh, that's one thing that annoys me. So, Jake is definitely being a man baby because now he has his friends contacting OP, telling him, "Oh, you're too harsh on Jake. You should be more understanding. He's different now." I'm like, okay, he's different. So is OP. Times have changed. Move on. OP actually responded to this comment. We've been together a year and 8 months. So almost 2 years, and he's even diminishing the relationship that OP has with Mark. I want to call a year and 8 months relationship a fling. I think that's a full fledged relationship. Not that she needs to justify it to OP. I mean, not that she needs to justify it to Jake in any way. Another comment, not that he wants to come back 3 years after leaving you. He probably didn't find someone because he was the problem and tried to make you feel like you were the boring one. Don't feel guilty because he didn't when he left you. That's very true. I think once you leave the relationship, that's it. You don't get any kind of retake. Wait, no, replay cards. Like you can't redo your history together again. It's done. I'm glad the OP is moving forward. It seems like she's at least moving forward with her life while Jake is stuck in the past. He's probably, I'm just imagining this grown man just reminiscing sadly with little tears in his eyes, probably with a drink in hand, just saying, "Oh, that's what I could have had. Why wasn't she like that with me? Boo hoo." Crying to his friends, telling his friends, "Oh, you go call her. You go tell her this." Ugh, pathetic. Another comment, not the whole Jake doesn't get to just come back in your life and objectify you as if you are his property. The fact that he even thinks this is possible speaks worlds about how much he actually values you for who you are and your independence. You sound much, much happier with Mark. Stay that way and don't look back. I agree. Last comment, not the whole you took the cold tuna fish of justice and slapped him hard in the face with it. I like this comment. I'm just imagining an actual cold tuna fish just slapping Jake in the face. He is the a-hole who is now regrets his readiness to get divorced because he thought you were too boring for him. Now he gets word that maybe you aren't all that boring and he wants a second chance to play on the jungle gym. You have someone now that you feel safe with, who you can get a bit wild and freaky with and still be comforted and cuddled. Be happy with your new guy and let Jake hang out with his boring left hand. I love this comment. Took all the words out of my soul and spilled it out into the universe. And I love the regrets. No regrets left from OP. So I guess we do end on a happy note for this episode, guys. I was a little bit worried that OP might be guilted in some way by friends or her ex into rekindling. Can you even call it rekindling if there's no real flame? I guess revisiting her past. But I'm happy that it seems like she's sticking with her new boo, Mark, and exploring the wild side of her life. Really glad and happy for you, OP, and congrats on your engagement. Now, I would say Jake does not get a pass, but OP definitely gets the pass for moving on with her life. Goodbye, Jake. I just imagine him getting flicked away, far, far away. Now, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. We've gone a lot of passes. Well, actually, no, I have to say we didn't give any passes except our last story where OP gets one. I hope you enjoyed this one. And if you do, don't forget to hit the like button and smash the subscribe button, guys. And if you are on Spotify, don't forget to give me 5 stars. I'll see you guys in the next episode. It'll be juicy, I promise.